Have you ever wondered if someone close to you is not who they seem? In this video, we will dive deep into the 12 undeniable signs that reveal the presence of a toxic or destructive person in your life. As Seneca once warned, evil is hidden in the guise of virtue. Sometimes those who seem harmless may carry hidden intentions, and recognizing these signs can be the difference between protecting your peace and falling into a harmful relationship. But fear not. By the end of this video, not only will you be able to identify these behaviors, but you'll also learn exactly how to respond to each type of person with calm, wisdom, and strength. And stay tuned until the end, where I'll reveal the most overlooked yet surprisingly common sign that even the most vigilant of us miss, and how you can use it to your advantage. Before we begin, if you find value in these Stoic lessons, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon to stay updated with more insights. Let's embark on this journey of wisdom together. First sign: the pleasure in other people's pain. Have you ever stopped to wonder if those around you might harbor dark intentions? Picture this. You're in the office, you stumble and spill your coffee. As you scramble to clean up the mess, you catch a coworker stifling a smirk. Does that situation sound familiar? If it does, you may have witnessed something deeper than a mere laugh at a clumsy moment. This phenomenon is often referred to by the German term Schadenfreude, which literally translates to joy at the harm of others. And while it may seem rare, it's far more common than you might expect. A study from the University of Würzburg found that up to 30% of people admit to experiencing this feeling at least once. But here's the critical question. What happens when someone doesn't just experience this occasionally, but seems to thrive on it? This is where things take a troubling turn. People with malicious tendencies don't simply stumble upon Schadenfreude, they actively seek it out. It's as if they are constantly tuned in, searching for others' moments of misfortune, feeding on the misery around them like emotional predators. Now, I'm not telling you to turn into a suspicious investigator of every smirk or side-eye, but being aware and observant can help you protect your emotional energy. Pay attention to how those around you react when someone is in a vulnerable position. Do they extend a hand, or do they quietly enjoy the scene from afar? The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "To feel envy is human, but to enjoy the misfortune of others is diabolical." And he was right. People who consistently find joy in the suffering of others are emotional vampires, draining the light and positivity from those around them. But don't lose hope. Recognizing this behavior is the first step towards safeguarding yourself. When you encounter such individuals, it doesn't always mean you should immediately distance yourself. In some cases, compassion and a sincere conversation can reveal deeper issues and bring about understanding. Even the darkest hearts can find redemption, just as even Darth Vader had his moment of change. So, the next time you see someone smirk when you stumble, take a moment to reflect. It could be just an innocent reaction, or it could be the subtle sign of a darker character trait. Remember, being aware is your greatest tool in navigating these situations. Knowledge is your armor, and it may be exactly what you need to protect your peace. Number 2, the need to control your life. Have you ever felt like someone was trying to control every single detail of your life, as if there were an unseen puppet master pulling your strings? If so, you're not alone in that frustrating experience. Today, let's unravel the world of control freaks, a world far from enjoyable and even further from peaceful. Picture this. You're a mouse, wandering through a maze, and someone keeps shifting the walls whenever they please. Every move you make, they decide how far you can go and in which direction. Frustrating, isn't it? That's what it feels like when you're around a person obsessed with control. They don't just want a role in your life, they want to be the director of every scene without asking for your consent. But why do these individuals feel this intense need to control everything around them? According to manipulation and behavior expert Dr. George Simon, this comes from a deep-rooted insecurity and a fear of chaos. In their minds, control is the only thing standing between them and a world spiraling into disarray. Imagine the burden of carrying that belief. It must be exhausting. But don't confuse these control seekers with your well-meaning grandmother who simply wants to make sure you're dressed warmly. No, we're talking about a level of control so extreme that even a dictator might say, hey, maybe take it down a notch. These people operate like emotional vacuum cleaners, sucking away your freedom, draining your energy, and leaving you feeling empty. Does this sound familiar? If so, you're certainly not alone. Many find themselves caught in these toxic webs, often without even realizing it. But there's hope, my friend. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. And Epictetus was spot on. The first step in dealing with control freaks is recognizing the red flags. Is your boss nitpicking every tiny detail of your work? Does your partner need to know where you are every moment of the day? Does a friend get angry when you don't follow their advice to the letter? If so, you're likely dealing with a compulsive controller. But don't despair. You don't need to run off to a cave in the Himalayas to escape. Setting clear boundaries is key. It's like putting up a metaphorical no trespassing sign in your life. And if boundaries aren't respected, well, you can always lose your phone signal during their calls. Oops, connection lost. The most important thing to remember is this: your life belongs to you, and you alone. Don't let anyone turn you into a puppet on their strings. Be the director of your own story, and make sure it's a masterpiece worth celebrating, not some low-budget drama written by someone else. Number 3, that strange feeling in their presence. Have you ever been around someone and felt like something was just off? You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's as if the energy around them disturbs your peace. Picture this. You're at a lively party, music is playing, laughter fills the room, and then someone walks in. Suddenly, without any obvious reason, the atmosphere shifts. It's like your internal alarm bells start ringing, warning you of something that's not right. What's really going on? As it turns out, our bodies are more intuitive than we give them credit for. Neuroscientist Dr. Antonio Damasio from the University of Southern California suggests that our brains are constantly processing information we don't even realize we're receiving. It's as if we have a built-in radar, picking up on subtle cues and sending us signals that something is amiss. This isn't just a revelation of modern science, either. Ancient wisdom touches on this too. Confucius once said, when you walk with two people, you can learn from both. But what he didn't mention is that you can also sense when one of those people is an emotional drain, someone who feeds off your positive energy without you even realizing it. Now, don't get alarmed. I'm not saying you should start mistrusting everyone you meet, but there's value in paying attention to the subtle signs your body is giving you. Have you ever felt completely drained after talking to someone? Or noticed that your mood shifts for the worse when a certain person is near? That's not just a coincidence. It could be your sixth sense, your internal guide, working hard to protect you. So how can you tell the difference between a momentary bad vibe and a truly toxic presence? One word: consistency. If you feel this way every time you encounter a particular person, it might be time to ask yourself if their company is really good for you. This doesn't mean they're the villain of your story. Sometimes, people who make us feel uneasy don't have bad intentions at all. But that doesn't mean you should dismiss your own feelings. As the writer Maya Angelou wisely said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So the next time you feel that knot in your stomach or tension creeping into your shoulders when someone enters the room, don't ignore it. Your body is trying to tell you something important. It's almost like having a superpower. No, you might not be able to fly or read minds, but having the ability to detect toxic people is a pretty invaluable skill in today's world. Number 4, lack of responsibility. Have you ever come across someone who seems to have an excuse for absolutely everything? Picture this. You're in a meeting, and yet again, your colleague is late. The traffic was horrible, they exclaim. But isn't it curious how traffic only seems to target certain people time and time again? This habit of dodging responsibility can feel like an Olympic sport for some, and believe me, they're gold medalists in the evasion games. A lack of accountability is one of the clearest signs that you're dealing with someone who may be toxic. These people tend to have a PhD in blaming others and a master's degree in playing the victim. They're like magicians, but instead of pulling rabbits out of hats, they conjure excuses out of thin air. According to psychologist Dr. John Grohol, this tendency to shirk responsibility often stems from a deep-seated fear of failure or criticism. It's as though these people have crafted an invisible shield to deflect all blame, allowing them to avoid the consequences of their actions at all costs. So, how do you deal with these champions of evasion? First and foremost, stay calm. Their lack of responsibility speaks volumes about them, not about you. Second, stand your ground. When someone tries to shift the blame onto you, don't hesitate to set firm boundaries. Think of it this way. If you're in a play and your scene partner forgets their lines, what would you do? Would you take the blame in front of the audience? Or would you calmly move forward with your part? The key is simple. Don't play their game. Maintain your composure, stick to your role, and continue with the task at hand. It's crucial to understand that you can't change these individuals, but you can certainly change how you respond to them. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things." This rings especially true when dealing with those who evade responsibility. Their actions may irritate or frustrate you, but ultimately, it's your reaction that defines the outcome. The next time you encounter someone who avoids accountability like it's an extreme sport, take a moment, breathe deeply, and remember, their lack of responsibility is not your responsibility. You continue to shine. Those who refuse to see your light, well, they're the ones who need to put on sunglasses. Before we dive into the fifth sign, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Stoic Rise Up. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video on how Stoic wisdom can transform your life. And if you appreciate this kind of content as much as I do, drop a comment below saying, "I love wisdom." Let's keep learning and growing together. Number 5. Habit of lying. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone tells a story so unbelievable, it feels like it's straight out of a movie? Everyone around listens in awe, but something deep down in your gut tells you that something doesn't quite add up. Sound familiar? You might be dealing with a compulsive liar. According to psychologist Robert Feldman from the University of Massachusetts, most people lie at least 3 times in a typical 10-minute conversation. That's surprising enough. But here's where it gets interesting. Individuals with darker intentions take lying to an entirely different level. These people don't just tell lies, they turn it into an art form. Instead of using paints and brushes to craft masterpieces, they weave words to create alternate realities. And they do it with an unsettling ease. As my grandmother used to say, they lie more than they talk. But what drives this behavior? While they might not have a nose that grows like Pinocchio's, they share something in common with him. They lie to get what they want. Whether it's to impress others, manipulate situations, or simply for the thrill of deception, these skilled fabricators know no limits. It's important to recognize that not all lies are created equal. There's a big difference between telling your partner you love their new haircut, even if it looks like it was done in the dark, and constructing elaborate stories to manipulate others for personal gain. Philosopher Immanuel Kant once said that lying is morally wrong in every circumstance. While we've all told a harmless white lie at some point, the difference lies in the frequency and intent. People with malevolent tendencies lie as easily as they breathe, fabricating achievements, exaggerating abilities, or even creating entire dramas out of thin air. The scariest part? These lies often come with a chilling level of conviction. They'll look you straight in the eyes, their confidence so firm that even the most skeptical among us would doubt our own judgment. The real danger lies in the consequences these lies can have in our lives. Imagine trusting someone who repeatedly deceives you, whether about their financial situation or worse, their feelings towards you. Lies like these can do more than just distort reality. They can break trust and wreak havoc on your peace of mind. But not all is lost. There are ways to spot these masters of deception. Pay close attention to inconsistencies in their stories. Watch their body language, and most importantly, trust your instincts. If something sounds too good to be true, chances are it is. Studies from the University of Massachusetts suggest that people unconsciously touch their nose when they lie, much like Pinocchio himself. So, the next time someone scratches their nose while telling you an incredible story, you might just know where the truth lies. Other signs include avoiding eye contact, or oddly enough, maintaining an intense, unblinking stare, as if to say, if I don't blink, you'll believe me. But it doesn't work that way. Changes in tone of voice, overly detailed responses, and a tendency to remember even the smallest unnecessary details can all be signs that someone is making it up as they go. Remember, as the great Mark Twain once said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. So the next time you find yourself speaking with someone who seems to be living in an alternate reality, put on your glasses of truth and look past the pretty words. Your peace of mind will thank you. Number 6. The one resistant to change. Have you ever met someone who seems stuck in the past, as if time itself has stopped for them? Imagine a solid rock sitting in the middle of a flowing river. While the water adapts, evolves, and moves effortlessly around it, the rock remains immovable, unchanged. That's how some people are. They cling to old habits and outdated beliefs as though they were a lifeline in an ocean of constant change. You'll often hear them proudly say, "That's just me. Take it or leave it." But is that really something to be proud of? The Greek philosopher Heraclitus taught us over 2,500 years ago, the only constant in life is change. And he was right, wasn't he? Life itself is defined by its capacity to evolve and shift. People who resist change are like broken records, repeating the same patterns, the same mistakes, over and over again. When you gently point out their problematic behaviors, they'll retreat behind defenses like, "That's just how I am," or "I've always been this way," as if that were a valid excuse for not growing or improving. But be careful here. It's important not to judge too quickly. This resistance to change is often driven by fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear that they might discover they're not as great as they thought. It's almost as if they're trapped inside a bubble, comfortable but suffocating. The real danger, though, is that if we surround ourselves with these people, their resistance to change can start to affect us too. You know the saying, tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. Before long, you could find yourself echoing their same excuses, justifying stagnation. That's why, my friends, it's crucial to surround ourselves with people who inspire us to be better, people who challenge us and push us beyond our comfort zones. Growth doesn't come from staying where we're comfortable. It comes from embracing change, learning, and evolving. As businessman Jim Rohn wisely put it, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Number 7, the exploitation of kindness. Imagine your friend Sophia for a moment. She's always there to help, lending money, listening to others' problems, always the first to offer a hand. An angel, right? But what happens when someone takes advantage of that kindness? This is where manipulative people come in. Those who see kindness not as a virtue, but as a weakness to be exploited. As psychologist Dr. Albert J. Bernstein puts it, toxic individuals are like emotional vacuum cleaners. They drain your energy, leaving you feeling empty and exhausted. And he couldn't be more right. These people seem to have a radar for detecting kind souls, and don't hesitate to use that radar to their advantage. So how do they do it? They deploy tactics like emotional blackmail, empty promises, and guilt manipulation. Phrases like, "If you were really my friend, you'd lend me money," or "I swear, this is the last time I'll ask for a favor," or even, "I can't believe you'd abandon me when I need you most," might sound familiar. If they do, it's time to be on high alert. You may be dealing with an exploiter of kindness, but don't despair, there's hope. Philosopher Immanuel Kant once said, "Goodness is the only investment that never goes bankrupt." He's absolutely right, but that doesn't mean we should allow others to abuse our generosity. The key is learning how to set clear boundaries and say no without feeling guilty. How do we do that? First, recognize your own value. Your time, energy, and resources are precious, and you don't need to apologize for taking care of yourself. Second, learn to spot the warning signs. If someone only comes to you when they need something, if they never reciprocate or show appreciation, or if they make you feel guilty for not bending to their will, it's time to raise the alarms. Now, be careful. This isn't about becoming distrustful or turning your back on helping others. It's about being wise in your kindness. As the writer Ayn Rand once said, "Don't say you have a duty to help someone. Do it because you want to. This reminds us that true kindness stems from the will to help, not from obligation or guilt. So dear friends, the next time someone tries to take advantage of your good heart, remember this: your kindness is a gift, not something others are entitled to. You can be kind without being walked over. You can help without depleting yourself. And most importantly, you can be good to others while also being good to yourself. That is the essence of true wisdom. Number 8, warnings from loved ones. Have you ever had that uncomfortable feeling that something isn't quite right with someone close to you, but you just can't put your finger on what it is? Well, friends, buckle up, because today we're going to dive into a crucial signal that might be right under our noses. Warnings from our loved ones. Picture this. You're in what feels like the perfect relationship, but every time you mention your partner, your friends and family exchange worried glances or frown. Sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. It turns out that our inner circle can often pick up on red flags that we might miss. Psychologist Dr. John Gottman, a renowned expert on relationships, reminds us that sometimes we are so blinded by love, or what we think is love, that we ignore even the most glaring warning signs. But why should we listen to what others have to say? Think of it like being a detective in your own life. Your friends and family are like your trusted investigative partners, providing you with valuable clues to help solve the mystery of whether you're dealing with someone who may be toxic. Now, I'm not saying you should panic every time your Aunt Paquita scrunches up her nose when she meets your new partner. But if you begin to notice a pattern, a repeated unease from those closest to you, it might be time to take off those rose-colored glasses and take a closer look. Let's take a classic example. Maria was head over heels in love with Carlos, but her friends consistently warned her about his controlling behavior. "He cares about me," Maria would say, brushing off their concerns. But as Carlos began isolating her from her friends and criticizing every choice she made, Maria eventually realized her friends had been right all along. The philosopher Aristotle once said, "A friend is a single soul inhabiting two bodies." And how right he was. Our true friends can often see what we cannot, simply because they have a different and more objective perspective. Now, it's important not to go overboard and become paranoid, distrusting everyone at the first hint of discomfort. It's about finding balance between trusting your instincts and valuing the opinions of those who care for you the most. After all, these are the people who will be there to support you if things take a turn for the worse. So the next time your best friend leans in and says, "Hey, don't you think there's something a little off about so-and-so?" Instead of getting defensive, take a moment to reflect. They may be doing you a bigger favor than you realize. At the end of the day, you are the protagonist of your own story, but it doesn't hurt to have a solid team of advisors, right? After all, as we say in my hometown, 4 eyes see more than 2. Or in this case, the many eyes of your loved ones might see what yours, blinded by love, cannot. Number 9, contempt. Imagine this. You're excited about a new project at work and you decide to share it with your partner. But instead of the support you're hoping for, you're met with a cold stare and a dismissive comment. Do you really think you can do that? Don't be naive. My friends, that is the face of contempt. Contempt is like a slow poison. It seeps into your thoughts, undermines your confidence, and clouds your sense of self-worth. It is the weapon of choice for those who seek to manipulate others emotionally. They make you question your abilities, your dreams, and even your value as a person. But why would anyone do this? As the renowned psychologist Dr. John Gottman points out, contempt is the single greatest predictor of divorce in relationships, and its toxic effects aren't limited to romantic partnerships. It can corrode any relationship. Contempt is a way for people to feel superior by belittling you, feeding off your insecurity while they boost their own fragile sense of importance. Now, let's not confuse contempt with constructive criticism. The difference is all in the intention. Constructive criticism seeks to help you grow and improve, while contempt only serves to tear you down. It's the difference between a coach pushing you to be your best and a bully who enjoys watching you stumble. Here's an interesting fact. Studies from the University of Washington reveal that contempt doesn't just affect your emotional well-being, it can also take a toll on your physical health. People who are constantly subjected to contempt are more likely to experience illness. It's a reminder that the harm of toxic relationships runs deep, impacting both mind and body. But don't despair. Not all is lost. The first step in protecting yourself is recognizing contempt for what it is. The next time someone criticizes your dreams, your appearance, or your achievements in a way that leaves you feeling small, stand tall and remember, their words say far more about them than they do about you. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The opinion that others have of you does not belong to you." You do not have to carry the weight of someone else's contempt. It's their burden, not yours. Don't let their disparaging remarks define who you are or what you can achieve. In short, contempt is like that negative friend who always has something critical to say about your new haircut. No matter how great you look or feel, they'll find a way to make you doubt yourself. But here's the truth. Your worth isn't found in their cutting remarks, but in your own heart and your actions. So, the next time someone tries to bring you down with contempt, smile and think, "Thanks for the opinion I didn't ask for. I'll file it away with all the other things I don't care about," and keep shining, because that inner light of yours is precisely what toxic people can't stand to see. Number 10. Abuse of animals. Let us remember the wise words of philosopher Immanuel Kant. We can judge a person's heart by his treatment of animals. And he couldn't have been more right. A person's relationship with animals often speaks volumes about their true character. But be careful, we're not just talking about obvious acts of cruelty here. Sometimes abuse hides behind neglect or indifference. Think of that neighbor who leaves their dog out on the balcony all day under the scorching sun, or the friend who forgets to feed their cat regularly. These actions, though less dramatic, reveal just as much about a person's lack of empathy and responsibility. Such behaviors may not involve outright violence, but they still show a troubling disregard for the well-being of those who depend on us. So what should we do if we encounter situations like these? First and foremost, don't look away. Indifference is a silent accomplice to abuse. If you see an animal being mistreated, neglecting the situation only enables the cruelty to continue. Second, if it's safe, intervene politely but firmly. A simple conversation can sometimes make someone realize the impact of their actions. And third, don't hesitate to seek professional help if the situation demands it. Authorities and animal welfare organizations exist for these very reasons, and it's our duty to speak up when animals are in danger. Remember, having an animal isn't just a right, it's a profound responsibility. As the writer Milan Kundera once said, the true goodness of man can only manifest itself in how he treats those who cannot fight back, those who are at his mercy. Animals, who depend on us for care, are the ultimate test of our humanity. So the next time you meet someone new, pay close attention to how they treat animals. You might learn more about their character than you ever could from words alone. And most importantly, reflect on your own actions. How do you treat the beings that depend on you? Number 11. Absence of remorse. Have you ever encountered someone who seems utterly devoid of conscience? Imagine standing in front of someone who has just committed a terrible act, yet instead of offering an apology, they look at you with a smile. Creepy, right? That's how people act when they lack remorse. The renowned psychologist Dr. Robert Hare, an expert in psychopathy, describes this lack of remorse as a failure of moral conscience. It's as though these individuals have an emotional switch that's permanently turned off. But how can you identify someone like this in your everyday life? There are several signs to look out for. 1. They never offer a genuine apology. If they do say, "I'm sorry," it sounds as fake as a $3 bill. 2. They blame others for their mistakes. "It wasn't my fault, you just didn't explain it clearly." 3. They minimize the damage they cause. "Come on, it's no big deal, it was just a joke." 4. They get defensive if asked to take responsibility. "Why do you always make me feel guilty?" 5. They quickly change the subject when confronted with their errors. Philosopher Immanuel Kant said that moral conscience is what makes us truly human. So what does it mean for those who lack it? While they aren't aliens, even though they may seem that way sometimes, a study from the University of Cambridge revealed that individuals without remorse have reduced brain activity in areas related to empathy. It's as if their compassion muscle is severely weakened or non-existent. But be careful not to confuse the absence of remorse with the ability to forgive oneself. It's one thing to learn from your mistakes and move forward, and quite another to not acknowledge them at all. So, what should you do if you encounter someone like this in your life? First, don't try to fix them. You are not an emotional repair shop. Instead, set clear boundaries and maintain a healthy distance. Protect your emotional well-being as you would tend to a garden. Don't allow someone without remorse to trample on your inner peace like an elephant in a glass shop. And if you're wondering whether you yourself might lack remorse, take comfort in this. The mere fact that you're asking the question is a good sign. Truly remorseless individuals rarely reflect on their own actions, let alone question whether they are causing harm. So keep your eyes open, friend. The next time someone hurts you and acts as though nothing happened, you'll know what's going on. It's not that they have hearts of stone, it's that their guilt detector is more broken than a clock without hands. And now, let's move on to the final sign. Number 12, envy. Imagine envy as a poison that seeps into the soul, slowly contaminating it. Psychologist Robert Plutchik classified envy as one of the basic human emotions, but don't be fooled. Basic does not mean harmless. It's like that friend who's always hungry. Sure, it's natural, but potentially dangerous for your refrigerator, right? Envy manifests in countless forms, much like ice cream flavors. It could be that friend who subtly minimizes your achievements, or the coworker who conveniently forgets to mention your contribution to the big project. As Aristotle wisely said, envy is pain at the good fortune of others. And it does hurt, both for the one who feels it and for the one who becomes its target. But why is envy such an important warning sign? Envious individuals are like emotional vampires, feeding off your happiness and success. A study from the University of California revealed that chronic envy can lead to manipulative and sabotaging behaviors. Envy, when left unchecked, can turn toxic, draining the energy of everyone involved. However, here's a twist. Envy isn't all bad. Surprised? So was I when I learned this. Imagine you have a friend who consistently inspires you with their achievements. In this case, that healthy envy can serve as a powerful engine for your personal growth. As Aristotle put it, envy is pain for the good of others. But what if we transform that pain into motivation? Think of it this way. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with negativity, guess what? That negativity will influence you. But if you align yourself with ambitious, positive people, your chances of achieving your dreams skyrocket. Have you ever wondered why some famous YouTubers choose to live together in mansions? It's not just about saving on rent. A Harvard University study showed that envy can actually enhance creativity and productivity in competitive environments. So the next time you feel a pang of envy, ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? But be careful, because there's a fine line between constructive envy and destructive envy. Psychologist Sarah Protasi explains it well. The difference is between wanting to be like someone and wanting that person to fail. And it's here that toxic individuals cross the line. So how do you spot someone with unhealthy envy? Watch for signs like excessive criticism, joy at the misfortune of others, and an inability to genuinely celebrate someone else's success. If you recognize these traits in someone close to you, it might be time to rethink that relationship. Remember, envy can be either your worst enemy or your best teacher. You get to choose. And as the great Stoic philosopher Seneca said, we become better by competing with the best. So the next time envy creeps in, use it as fuel for your own growth. Who knows? You might just become the person others envy, in a good way. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that recognizing these signs of toxic behavior isn't about becoming paranoid or distrusting everyone around you. It's about awareness, understanding the subtle ways in which negative influences can creep into our lives and learning how to protect ourselves. Whether it's envy, a lack of remorse, or the subtle manipulation of kindness, these traits can erode your peace of mind if left unchecked. The good news? You have the power to set boundaries, surround yourself with positive, inspiring people, and most importantly, cultivate resilience. Just as the Stoic philosophers taught, We cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond to them. Marcus Aurelius said it best: "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So as you go forward, keep your eyes open to the signs we've discussed today, but also keep your heart open to growth and self-improvement. Recognizing toxic behavior is the first step, but transforming it into fuel for your own personal development is where true wisdom lies. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Stoic Rise Up to continue your journey towards a more fulfilling, Stoic-inspired life. Click the bell icon so you never miss out on more wisdom-filled content. Together, let's grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay strong and keep learning.